Lake trout. On today's video, we're gonna go over the best way to fish for lake trout and how to catch a diamond lake trout on Golden Ridge Reserve. So as always, we're gonna start by talking about the tackle. The lake trout is a very heavy species that reaches weights up to 23 kilos or 50.7 pounds. It is the heaviest fish species on Golden Ridge Reserve, hence it is one of the most wanted diamonds on the entire map. You can catch these guys using either a bottom setup or a jig head spinning rig. On this case, I would recommend you to choose a jig head spinning rig since it is way faster than the bottom setup. So first of all, make sure to choose a bait casting rod with a maximum line strength of at least 10 kilos, that is I would say the bare minimum. Well, you could certainly choose a lighter rod and line and you are still gonna be able to catch the majority of the lake trout since most of them are gonna weigh less than that, but if you happen to hook a 20 plus kilo monster, you could be in trouble. So better to be safe than sorry. Choose a rod that lets you equip a line of around 10 to 17.5 kilos. You could go heavier, but keep in mind that if you go too heavy, you are gonna get way less money and experience, and also way less score, which is important because if you happen to catch a diamond that ties the record on both weight and length, the deciding factor will be the score. You know, the lighter your line is, the more score, money and experience you are gonna get. But it's important to strike a balance because you also don't wanna make the fights too time consuming. Make sure to equip a bait casting reel with a maximum drag of around 15 kilograms. Again, a line with a strength of between 10 to 17.5 kilos, ideally 15 kilos. A number 2 jig head to be able to catch everything from silver to diamond, and either a worm or a grub. Another thing I would really recommend you to carry is a bunch of chum. On this case, the Pro Performance works fantastic. And when it comes to the fishing technique, the first thing you gotta do is to first of all cast out towards the position where the chum landed, and once your lure is already in the water, make sure to start jigging. The lure is gonna start sinking to the bottom, so make sure to jig throughout the whole process. Once the lure reaches the bottom, let it sit there for a few seconds while still jigging, and if after jigging at the bottom for about 15 seconds you still haven't got any bite, what I would recommend you is to start reeling the lure in at about a 2 speed towards the surface, and if you still haven't got any bite once it reaches the surface, which doesn't happen often, simply repeat the process by tossing out some Pro Performance towards a different direction and repeat the whole thing. You can expect to catch a lot of silvers, potentially many golds, and hopefully some diamonds while using this technique. And as I mentioned earlier, another option you have to catch these lake trouts is by using a bottom setup. I think it is significantly slower than the first method I shown you, but if you decide to use it, just make sure to use corn as a bait. Now, going over the first location I would really recommend you to visit if your goal is to catch a diamond lake trout. This area, the deeper part of this lake, is hands down the hotspot where you have a higher chance of catching a diamond lake trout on the entire map. There's no other location that produces more diamond lake trouts than this one. I've had the luck to catch I believe like 7 or 8 diamonds only from this place, so it is definitely worth visiting. And yeah, this place is usually loaded with trouts, hence using a silver hook is normal enough to catch a trout on almost every single cast. I would suggest you to park your boat around this area. Here the diamonds can spawn anywhere within this deep spot as well as on the surrounding areas. So once you arrive here, make sure to cast all around your boat using the setup and the technique I shown you, and don't forget to toss out some Pro Performance right towards the place where you plan to cast. Most of the times you can expect to catch about 3 or 4 lake trouts of the exact same position per each chum ball you toss. So whenever you stop getting bites from the spot where you initially toss out the chum, make sure to toss out another ball of Pro Performance, but this time towards a different direction. You are gonna catch a lot of fish this way. You know, dozens of silvers, potentially many golds, and if you get lucky, maybe a few diamonds. That's some serious tension. That is the first trout I hooked today that takes line on this 15 kilo line, so it is definitely promising, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too much because the golds are also very heavy and they are also more than capable of taking line on this setup. So let's see. Is the first big trout we catch today gonna be diamond? I really don't think so, but it wouldn't be the first time it happens. And it's only gold, with a weight of 14.46 kilos. I'll take it. Not too bad to be the first gold of the day. Hold up! We hooked another huge lake trout. I've been catching a lot of silvers today, literally every single cast after tossing out some Pro Performance, and I can say that chum in the waters definitely makes a huge difference. It is very rare to not get a bite on a silver hook right after tossing out some chum on this location. Now I really feel this one is quite heavier than the first gold. I think it could be diamond. A small diamond. Fingers crossed. Nope, just another gold. 15.49 kilos. Significantly heavier than the last one, but still not big enough to be the first diamond of the day. Holy! I'ma say it now. This one is a diamond. Whenever you get this kind of tension on a 15 kilo line, you can be sure you are about to catch a diamond. There's absolutely no way this one isn't heavy enough. My current personal best was barely above 22 kilos and the current record is exactly 23. So my goal for this guide, while I make this guide, is to try to catch one heavier than my record. We know it is a diamond, so I wonder how heavy. $19.72 kilos. Yes, I mean it isn't huge, it is a very average diamond, but it's great to see, especially after more than an hour fishing on this spot with only a few calls so far. I believe I caught like 5 calls before getting this diamond. Hold up, you cannot be serious. We may have the second diamond of the day here. 5 minutes after the first one. I literally just swapped to the number 1 on jig head, which is only for golds and diamonds, and on the first cast, seems like we hooked another diamond. You know, using a gold only hook like I'm doing at the moment is normally not the best idea, since most of the times you're gonna have to wait a lot of time between bites, but in the case of the lake trout, the golds are quite common, at least on this spot. So you can definitely get a fair number of bites while using a gold only hook, like the 1/0, something like 1 every 10 minutes. Now let's see the size of this giant. Is this a 20 kilo plus? And it is a diamond, but it is not as heavy as the first one, 18.67 kilos. Nice looking trout, isn't it? Very nice looking. It isn't huge, it is very far from our current personal best, but a diamond is a diamond. Now going over the second hotspot I want to show you in this video, this is another location that is not as popular as the first one, but is also great. I don't think it produces as much big lake trouts as the first one, but at the same time the fact that it is not as popular doesn't let us see how truly good it is, since you don't hear about it as much. But let me tell you, this is also a fantastic location, essentially this lake, mainly around this marker. The technique I would recommend you to use here is the exact same as on the first hotspot, and be patient. Spend a couple hours here catching as many fish as possible, and eventually a diamond will spawn. That's heavy. We are currently using a 17.5 kilo line on a bottom setup, with artificial corn yellow as a bait, and whatever we hooked here is really heavy. It is up to you to decide if you wanna use a bottom setup or a jig head spinning rig like the one I was using earlier, but the advantage of using a bottom setup is that you can go do something else while waiting to hit a nibble. You could be watching a video or doing some work in the background, and the nibble gives you time to reopen the game and hook the fish, which wouldn't be as easy while using a lure because the bite comes pretty much instantly. Now, how heavy is this trout? Everything indicates it is at least a gold. Has to be at least a gold. 13.06 kilos, it is a very small gold. Oh! This has to be the biggest trout we have hooked today. Even counting the diamonds. We are struggling to gain back line, this guy is heavy. And it really makes me wonder if this could be our new personal best. What are the odds this guy is heavier than 22 kilos? Now we're down to 20 meters. It's almost here. Look at the size of this trout. That is a monster. Please be huge. Oof. 20.96 kilos. Look at the size of that. It isn't heavy enough to be our new personal best, but it is huge. That's the biggest lake trout we have caught not only today but also in the last couple months, on a hook size number 1/0. No way! We just got a bite on the 4/0. It caught me completely out of guard. I was actually editing this video on the background when I heard the nibble. And in case you didn't know, the hook size number 4/0 is only for diamonds. So this guy is guaranteed to be diamond. And it's fighting really hard, maybe huge. Hopefully heavier than the last one. I certainly wasn't expecting to get a bite with this 4/0. I simply cast it out with it just in case there was already a big one in the area while I went to edit a part of this video. And what a surprise! How big is it? Is this guy heavier than the last diamond and potentially heavier than our personal best? Let's see. $18.71 kilos. Alright. Nice diamond. Not as heavy, but a diamond is a diamond. So anyway my friends, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to leave a like and a comment to support the video, and please consider subscribing to the channel to receive the notifications for all the upcoming guides. So with that said, thank you for watching and see you next time.